I almost did not record this episode today. I want to be honest with you because truth is the only thing that this podcast is ever going to be good for. I am at the end of a long trip around the world learning from the global church, and it has been truly amazing. God is moving in ways around the world that I cannot wait to share with you. But the reality is that my family and I have been traveling 4 months, moving place to place every week, every 2 weeks, every month. And right now we are in the northeast of the United States for board meetings. It is cold, it has been raining for days, our house back home is rented out for a few more months, so even though every cell in my body wants to go home, there is no home to go to yet. We have a lot of new projects in Reformadas. One in particular, it's a new project that is super exciting, but it's also very time sensitive, which means that I feel behind and I am behind in places where I do not want to be behind. And Latinpreneurs, this thing that you and I are building together, sits underneath all of it, asking me to keep showing up even when I do not feel like it. And today, I did not feel like it. So I sat with my coffee this morning and I thought, you know what? I will record next week. Nobody is going to die if I push this a week. The kids are tired. I am tired. The light in this apartment is bad. My voice is going to sound terrible. Let me just push it back. And then I did the thing that I am going to ask you to do at the end of this episode. I picked up my phone, I opened up my document, and I read my sentence out loud. And that sentence told me what to do. So here I am, recording anyway. Because if I do not record on a day when I do not feel like it, I am not the person who can teach you how to keep building your digital business on the day you will not feel like it. This episode is about that sentence, the sentence that I read this morning. And by the time we're done, you are going to have one of your own. The sentence that you read in the morning that you do not feel like doing your thing, like building your digital business. The one that you read at night when you almost said yes to something that would have pulled you off your road. So I want you to open up your notebook and let's start. Welcome to Freedom to Follow. I am Salime. If this is your first time here, this is a podcast for believers who want to build digital businesses for one reason: to fund their obedience, to create the kind of margin that lets you say yes to God when He says go or give or stay or plant or write or send or train or serve, whatever your calling in the Lord might be. For over 20 years, I have been building digital businesses and platforms across 3 continents. And I am here to save you all the mistakes, hand you all the frameworks, and help you build something that puts the income where the calling is. Everything we talk about comes with a free exercise waiting for you at latinpreneurs.com/the vault. This week's exercise is the most important page you will ever fill out in this season. I'll tell you about it in a few minutes. Now, if you're one of my regulars, welcome back. 2 weeks ago, we built the persona, the avatar you're sent to serve. Last week, we named the problem you are here to solve for them. Today, we're going to put it all together, and it's going to change how you do what you do. So let's get into it. I want to start by telling you the actual story about where Latinpreneurs came from, because I think a lot of people listen to this podcast and assume that Latinpreneurs has been around for years, that I had a big plan, that I sat down one day with a strategy deck and I built it. But that is not what actually happened. Latinpreneurs is recent. Now, the idea had been brewing for a couple of years now, sitting in the back of my mind, showing up in conversations that I would have with some hermanas in Mexico and the US or in Spain, in WhatsApp voice notes that I would send and forget about. The idea was there, but I did not have that capacity to build it. I had Reformadas, I had a family, I had a life that did not have a Latinpreneurs shape hole in it until October. In October of this last year, I felt something that I cannot describe as anything else but a nudge from the Lord. A sentence that kept showing up in my prayer journal, a conversation that kept happening with believers from all over the world that I respect, a door that kept cracking open in a direction that I was not asking for it to be open. And the nudge said, build the thing. Now, as you are traveling, as you are learning from the global church, as you are surrendered at my feet, Build it before you feel ready and before everything feels stable. Build it before you have systems. Build it before you have team. Build it because there are believers who need it out there. And the longer you wait, the longer they stay stuck. And I want to be honest with you about what was going on with me when that nudge came. I had spent years building digital businesses, digital platforms, not only for me, but for some friends I met along the way, believers, people who have gotten hold of me and whom I actually helped, some of which you may actually know. As you know, this all started in China. That business that I had in China, I said TradeX, that business taught me everything that I know about digital business, the infrastructure, about building something that travels with you, about income that does not need a boss or a visa or a support letter. In those moments, the Lord was teaching me through that what it actually takes for a believer to have income that follows them whenever and wherever God sends them. He had been building that curriculum in me slowly through years of contracts and travel and late night calculator math so that one day I could turn around and hand that curriculum to other people. I just obviously did not know that that was what was happening at that time. And then October came and the nudge came and I had to decide. And I sat down with my Bible and my journal and I tried to write the sentence that would tell me, okay, Lord, I am going to build, but who am I building for? What am I building for? Now, the first version said, I help women build digital businesses. And I read it back and it was true, but it was not enough. There's 1,000 of women in the internet that could say that sentence. Most of them are building businesses, digital businesses for the sake of digital businesses, for money or lifestyle or beach and valley. That's not what I am called to do. So I crossed that out. Now, the next version said, I help Latina women build digital business. It's closer, and that's what I've built through. And it's truer to me, but it's still not it. Because the reason that I'm doing this is not because I am a woman and it's not because I'm Latina. It is something underneath both of those things. So I crossed that out too. And I sat there. And as I've been building, I have been asking myself the question that I should have asked myself from the beginning. Why am I really doing this? And it's not what am I good at, not who's asking me to do this, or why am I doing this? And here is what actually came out. I do not actually want to teach people how to make money on the internet. There are enough people doing that. The world does not need one more digital business coach. The world has plenty of those. Some of them are great. Some of them are actually terrible. Most of them are teaching the same 5 frameworks. The world does not need me to be another one of those. Now, what the world does not have enough is theologically grounded, Bible grounded, mission driven, Hispanic believers, men and women building digital businesses that fund the calling on their lives. I feel like that voice is missing. That seat at the table is missing. That category of person, that believer who runs a business that makes real money and funds real obedience, that is missing in our community, in the global world, and the global church needs it. Because here's what I see. I see Hispanic believers all over the world with real skills, with different amazing capacity, with that kind of cultural agility that is exactly what this moment in global missions needs. And they do not have an income model that lets them go there. God is sending them, but they have a job. The job pays them. The job owns their calendar. The calling stays back in the burner. I see again 90% of missionary funding flowing to the 10% of the world's missions force. I see the other 90%, the indigenous missionaries, the church planters in countries that the Western church has not figured out how to fund, working 2 and 3 jobs to keep their families fed while they're trying to do the work that the Lord has called them. And I see that gap, but I also see that bridge. And that bridge is one piece of the infrastructure, a way to turn what you already know into income that goes where you go. Not so you can be rich. I mean, some of you might end up with way more than you have right now, and I'm so happy about that for you. And some of you might not. That is literally between you and God. What I am here to help you do is replace your income with a digital business so you can live anywhere, serve anywhere, give generously, and live the life all in with the Lord. So, with that in mind, I wrote the real sentence, the version that has come out of multiple iterations, that one that has been operating in my mind ever since, the one that I read today. I help Hispanic believers, men and women. Sorry if all the brand is pink, but that's just me. But I help believers, men and women, turn their professional skills into digital businesses that replace their income so they can live anywhere, serve anywhere, give generously, and live all in with the Lord. And so we can put more theologically minded, mission-driven Hispanic voices in the rooms where the global church is being built. Now that sentence has 4 parts: their freedom, my freedom, and the kingdom's gain. And here's what has happened in the month since. I have said no to opportunities that did not serve that sentence, including some that would have paid really well. I have said yes to projects that did not pay much, but where the exact sentence tells me what it was for. I have stopped writing about topics that I've been wasting my energy on. I have started writing only about what my sentence is. And this podcast, this season, is exactly what my sentence tells me to do. None of this would exist without that sentence, because that sentence is what told me on days like today where I do not feel like building, that I am building what I'm building for. And I want to hear me out, because believers that I've watched quit before they even started are not the ones that had the best strategy. They are the ones who did not have this sentence. They had the energy and the ideas and the folder of unfinished plans on their laptop, but they did not have one sentence that told me that one hard day exactly what they are doing, who they are doing for, and exactly why it matters in the kingdom. So when the hard day came, and the hard day always comes, they had nothing to read, so they quit. And I don't want you to be that. So today we're going to write your sentence, because this sentence matters much more than what you think. This is what will impulse you in those days that you don't feel like building. This is called your mission sentence. And it is not a tagline, because a tagline sells. It's not your bio, because a bio describes. It is a sentence, a real one, that commits you to doing your thing. It's a mission sentence that has 4 parts. And it tells you in one breath, in one sentence, who you serve, what you solve for, and what changes in their lives because of it, and what changes in your life or in the kingdom because of it. Now, the first 3 parts make the business work. The 4th part makes your business worth building. And once it's written, this becomes a filter. Every offer you build, every yes you say yes to, every no you say no to, every season, every pivot, every product, all of it gets tested against this one sentence. If the offer serves this sentence, then yes. And if it doesn't, then no. This is what mission sentence does. It does not tell you what you think. It tells you what you do. Let's write yours down. I am going to walk you through the 4 parts of this sentence. We're going to write it together. And again, there's going to be a free exercise available for you so that you just listen and try to start understanding your sentence. So part 1, who do you serve? You did this work 2 weeks ago in episode 4, the persona portrait. Pull her or him up from your mind right now. The person you built for, the one you can see, the one you name to, the one that described the one that you described, the one that you know so intimately, the one that has this specific questions at 2 a.m. This person is the first part of your sentence. And I know what you're trying to do again. You're starting to broaden them because you are afraid that if you're too specific, then you're going to leave someone out. Let me say it once more so that it lands. Specificity is not exclusion. Specificity is recognition. The other believers or the other people that you're going to say outside of your specific person are not going to be offended that you're not talking to them, that you're not trying to serve them. They're going to send their cousin, who is exactly the one that you serve. Vague language disappears in a crowded room. Specific language stops a person in their tracks. So, when you write the part 1 of your sentence, write your person in language they would recognize. Not in the language of a marketing course, in the language that they would actually use about themselves so that they can find you. Now, if you don't have this, go back to episode 4 and write that first and then come back. Okay, now part 2 is what you solve for. And we did this work last week, the problem statement. So pull it up, the sentence that you wrote on your page, the 4 blanks that you filled in. It is the problem you name that you are best positioned to solve for your person. So put that problem in part 2 of your sentence. And again, I am going to address one objection that I know it's coming to your brain in this specific moment. Some of you wrote a problem last week that has shame attached to it. Some of you wrote a problem that you do not have finished walking out of. Some of you wrote a problem and then immediately thought, well, who am I to solve it when I am still in the middle of it? But hear me out again. The person 1 chapter behind you needs you more than the person 10 chapters ahead. You do not have to be on the last page of the book. You have to be a little further down from the road that they are in. And here's the part that nobody says out loud. Sometimes the believer who is still walking it out is the most credible teacher of that one thing, because she is not far enough removed to have forgotten what it felt like. So again, your assigned problem is yours. Write it down in part 2 of this sentence. Okay, part 3, what changes for them? This is where most coaching people fall apart. This is where the vague creeps in. This is where people say, so that they can feel more confident, or so that they can live their best life now. And I know that sounds super inspiring, but I need you to do harder work than that. What changes actually in their life? When they reach, with what you teach? What changes in their bank account? What do they stop telling about themselves? What do they start saying yes to that they could not have said yes to before? What does their Sunday night look like when they don't have this panic attack anymore? Now, if you cannot answer that, go again back to your persona, read what you wrote about them. What are they thinking about at 2 a.m? Because that's the thing they are most scared of. That's the thing they're most ashamed of. The thing that they want so badly that they have not said out loud yet. And the result is the moment they stop carrying that thing. But you have to be able to name that thing. So it cannot be pretty things, ethereal out there. Write it in a specific, measurable way, something that somebody else would notice. Now, part 4. What changes for you and for the kingdom because of it? And this is what's going to make your sentence actually exciting. Your sentence is going to be very different from any other person in the world. Because we're not building a business so that you can have a business. You're building a digital business so that you can fund the calling that is already in your life from the Lord. So the 4th part of your sentence is going to answer that question. What does this business funding free you up in your obedience? What does the money that you get out of this digital business allows you to do? For some of you, the answer is, I don't know, so I can be home with my kids when they get off the bus, or so I can homeschool, or so I can be present for my parents in their last years, or so I can stop missing the things that I do not get back. Or maybe it is so I can give, so I can tithe at the level that my heart has been asking for me to tithe for years, or so I can sponsor a kid, or I can fund a missionary, or I can finally write the check I have been afraid to write because I just did not have the budget for it. Or for others, it might be so that my husband might actually leave their secular job that they have been doing for 15 years and be pastoring full time. We need more pastors in our midst, or so that if you're a man, so that you can leave your secular job and pastor full time, or so you can plant a church, or so you can go to the field, or so you can take this assignment that you have been turning down because you could not afford to say yes, or so that I can finally go, so that my passport can finally get used in the way that I have been praying it would get used to, so I can sit on a plane and go to a country whose name I have been writing in my journal for years. I get super excited because whatever you're calling in the Lord is what this part 4 is. So write it down, write it in full, and do not be vague. So I can serve God more is not enough. Be specific so you can what? Because here's what nobody tells you. The 4th part is what's going to keep you going when the first 3 parts get hard. When your persona frustrates you. When the problem that you're trying to solve feels too big. When the results feel too slow. But that part 4, your missional freedom, the obedience that is funding this because of this digital business, that part does not move. That part is what you read on the day that you want to quit, and it tells you exactly why you are doing it. So let me remind you of something that I said earlier in this episode, because I think it's worth repeating it. 90% of global missionary funds flow to 10% of the world's missionary force. That gap is not a calling problem. I know that many of you have that calling. It is a funding problem. It's an infrastructure problem. And believers like you building digital businesses that fund that work directly are part of how the church closes that gap. So do not shrink back on that fourth place. Do not make it small. Make it true. Make it God-centered. Make it worth it. Now, the summary, the synthesis of your sentence will look like, I help who, episode 4, solve what, episode 5, so that I can get this specific result for them, and so that I can have this specific missional freedom in the Lord that the Lord is calling me into. Now you read it out loud and you can hear it. And you read it on that hard morning and it tells you what to do. So let me give you some examples so that you can hear out how really good ones sound like. 1. I help moms. You'll recognize this from Gabriela. I help moms in the first 90 days after their child's learning diagnosis to read, understand, and negotiate the first educational plan so that their child gets what they need and the parents do not lose 6 months trusting a system that does not always look for them, so that I can fund my husband's church plant in our small town and free our family to plant fully. Another one. I help bivocational pastors who are working full-time corporate jobs build a digital consulting practice in their professional area of expertise so that they can replace their corporate income within 18 months and finally pastor their church full-time, so that congregations that they have been serving on the side can have the shepherd they deserve. Man, that's just amazing. Or 3, I help single moms over 40 turn their 20 years of nonprofit experience into paid consulting so that they can rebuild their savings before 50 and they can say finally yes to the mission trip their kids have been begging to take them on. These are 3 different believers in 3 different industries with 3 different missional whys. Same 4 parts, same structure, same kind of sentence, but this is what they're writing. This is what's waking them up in those days where things feel hard, and those will come. Now let's go back to Gabriela. Her audience, she found them, but I want to come back to her one last time in this season. Again, you met her 2 weeks ago, and she has special education background. She has 12 years of experience in the classroom. She is the one that helps parents get specific in the first 90 days after the diagnosis of their child, and she found her assigned problem. The educational plan that they signed without understanding, the 6 months that they're going to lose for trusting a system that does not always have the best in mind for their kids. So when she put it together, she found why she was doing it, so that her husband can pastor full time. And she knew that this sentence was going to help her filter everything else against it. So that version that she landed on, the version of she helps mom the first 90 days after the child's learning diagnosis, or read, understand, and negotiate the first educational plan so that their child gets what they need. And so the parent does not trust a system that does not always look for them. And so she can fund her husband's church plant in a small town. And she can, with this money, she can free her family to plant fully. Again, she wrote this amazing mission sentence in her index card. She created a wallpaper on her phone, and she reads it every morning for 30 days before she opened her Instagram or her email. And it started, and she started to focus on doing exactly what her mission sentence does. It started to function as a filter for her. So a good friend came and asked her to help her with her college application essay, and the old Gabriela would have said yes, that's what good friends do. But the Gabriela with the sentence says no. It's not in her sentence. A school district in another state offered her a consulting contract. It was good money, and she would have jumped right in. But Gabriela with this sentence said, is this the person that I'm going to help? And it was not. So she said no. And then 3 moms reached out in the same 30 days who had just gotten a diagnosis and did not know what to do. And the old Gabriela would have helped all of them and would have given them free voice notes. But this Gabriela, with this specific sentence, knowing why she was building is, she said, I built something exactly for you. This is the link. This is what it costs. And each one of them said yes. And she made $985 that first month of this mini course existing. And it's not because she had a launch strategy. It's because she actually had this sentence. And this sentence helped her understand what she was doing for. So she replaced her teaching salary 14 months later, and her husband planted this church that is still standing. So the mission sentence did not build her business. Gabriela obviously built her business, but this sentence told her every single morning exactly what she was building it for, who, why. And this sentence actually gave her clarity, and it gave her the push that she needed when things got complicated or clouded or hard. I want that for you. So I made something for you. As always, it's called the Mission Sentence Card. It is waiting for you for free right now at latinpreneurs.com/the vault. And listen carefully, because this is not just a worksheet. I want this to be used in a card as well. This is a worksheet that is designed to be filled out, but you have to save it. You have to save it in your wallpaper or in some voice note or wherever you want tonight. Because again, it will clarify your calling. So here it is, the 4 blanks, the 4 parts that we just walked through: your person, your problem, the result, and the missional freedom that you get. Underneath, it has the 4 blanks. You will get this sentence, and you will be able to name this sentence, date your sentence, because this is a covenant moment. I feel like it is a moment where you need to sign and date. So go to latinpreneurs.com/the vault, look for the mission sentence card, download it, fill it out, and save it as an image, please, so that you do not forget why you're doing what you're doing. And any day, every day for the next 30 days, before you open Instagram, before you check your email, before you check your messages, read it out loud. Read it. Read what is the result for them? What is the result for me? What is the missional freedom that I am getting because I am running this digital business? Because again, the believers who finish what they start are not the ones that have more talent or more time, or the ones that have better strategies. It's the one that they don't forget why they're doing this. So go to latinpreneurs.com/the vault, the mission sentence card. It will take you 15-20 minutes. Please do it tonight. This is super, super important for you to continue doing your digital business. Now, before we go, I want to leave you with something. For the last 6 weeks, we have been building something together. Episode 1 named that feeling that you had in that parking lot. Episode 2 gave you that thing that you have that you did not think that you had. Episode 3 showed you the hours that you didn't know you had in order to build this digital business. Episode 4, the persona, who are you wanting to serve? Who are you called to serve? Episode 5, what problem you were made to solve. And tonight we are putting all of that together. You walk away from this episode with 1 sentence. And again, this is not a marketing asset. This is not a deliverable. This is not something that you're going to put in your business card. This sentence is going to be your road. From now on, everything we build together from here on out, every offer we talk about, every framework that I will walk you through, every conversation, every step that you have or that we have, all of it sits on top of this 1 sentence. If your sentence is true, then the road is clear. If your sentence is vague, then it will disappear. So I want you to take this seriously tonight. I think that your calling in the Lord deserves that. So sit somewhere quiet, open your card, and take the 20 minutes it takes for you to do this exercise. Save it, read it, and understand why you are building it. Tomorrow morning, when you don't feel like doing it, read it. Now, one more thing, if this episode helped you, if this sentence started forming while you were listening, please help me and tell one person and help mobilize more Hispanic believers to the ends of the world. This is how this movement grows, literally one forwarded link at a time. So please share this with some other believer that needs to create financial freedom in order to have the freedom to follow the Lord. But again, remember that this is a sentence that will continue to move forward your digital business. Again, thank you for being with me. I hope this served you. My name is Alime. This is Freedom to Follow, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.